Tokyo, Japan. December 30th, 2000. A quiet neighborhood. Families getting ready for New Year's Eve, one of Japan's most peaceful, family-centered holidays. But inside one home, something unthinkable was happening. A man, his wife, and their 2 children were brutally murdered, and their killer stayed inside the house for hours. He ate their food, used their computer, left his blood, fingerprints, and even his clothes. And yet, no one has ever been caught. This is the story of the Setagaya Family Murders, one of the most disturbing and unsolved crimes in Japanese history. The Miyazawa family lived in a quiet, upper-middle-class area of Setagaya Ward in Tokyo. The father, Mikio Miyazawa, was 44, a kind, hardworking man who worked for a London-based marketing firm. His wife, Yasuko, was 41, a gentle mother who taught lessons from home. Their 2 children, Nina, age 8, and Rei, age 6, were happy, bright kids loved by everyone who knew them. The family's home was in a peaceful neighborhood, right next to a small park. But just weeks before the murder, the city had announced plans to expand that park, and the Miyazawa home was one of the few that hadn't yet relocated. It meant they were almost isolated, their nearest neighbors already gone. December 30th, 2000, around 11:30 p.m. Neighbors later reported hearing loud thuds, like heavy objects being dropped, coming from the Miyazawa home. One woman living nearby said she heard what sounded like a fight. Another heard the cry of a young boy. No one called the police. It was New Year's weekend, and in Japan, noise from celebrations isn't unusual. What investigators later pieced together was horrifying. The killer had entered the house by climbing a fence, then breaking through a small bathroom window at the back of the home. Inside, Mikio was the first to confront him, likely near the staircase. He was stabbed repeatedly with a military-style knife. Then the killer went upstairs. There, he found Yasuko and Nina, who had been asleep in their bedrooms. He killed them both, also with a knife. But when the blade broke, he used one of the household's own kitchen knives to continue the attack. Finally, he went to the youngest child, Rei, the 6-year-old boy, and strangled him while he slept. For lives gone in less than an hour. Here's where the case becomes truly bizarre. Instead of fleeing the scene, the killer stayed inside the house. He used the family's computer, connected to the internet, and opened several websites, including the homepage of Mikio's company. He also ate ice cream, drank barley tea, and used their toilet, without flushing. He even took a nap on the couch. Forensic experts later confirmed that the man remained in the home for several hours, possibly until the early morning of December 31st. Before leaving, he gathered money from around the house, about 150,000 yen, roughly $1,500, but left more cash untouched in other places. He also left behind a horrifying amount of evidence. Most killers clean up. This one left everything. Investigators found his fingerprints and DNA all over the home. He left his clothes, a black jacket, a hat, gloves, and even a scarf, neatly folded. They also found his knife, and a strange hip bag that contained sand and small particles traced back to a riverbed in southwestern Japan, over 300 miles away. The killer had worn Slazenger sneakers, a rare brand in Japan at the time, only sold in certain military stores. Police tracked the shoes to a store in Tokyo. Only 4 pairs had ever been sold. Using the DNA, forensic analysts determined that the killer was male, likely in his 20s, with mixed ancestry, part Asian, part European. That was unusual for Japan in 2000. Some experts suggested he might have been a Korean Japanese, or the child of an American soldier and a Japanese woman. They also found traces of blood that didn't belong to the family. It was his. The killer injured himself during the attack. But despite all this, police could never match the DNA to anyone in Japan or abroad. Some investigators believe the killer was a drifter, someone with no ties to the Miyazawas, who broke in simply to steal and lost control. But this theory doesn't fit the facts. He stayed for hours. He ate, slept, used their computer. That's not what random burglars do. Because of the knife, the sand, and the rare sneakers, all linked to military bases, some think the killer had military ties. The sand found in his bag was identical to samples from an area near AU Air Force Base in Yokota, Tokyo. Did the killer come from the base? Was he a foreign serviceman? Others believe the attack was targeted. Mikio had reportedly argued with local skateboarders using the nearby park. Could one of them, or someone connected, have sought revenge? Still, nothing ties this to such brutal violence. Japan's National Police Agency launched one of the largest investigations in Japanese history. Over 280,000 officers have worked on the case since 2000. They collected over 12,000 pieces of evidence, interviewed more than 125,000 people, and checked DNA samples from over 10,000 men. Yet 25 years later, there's still no match. Every anniversary, police revisit the site, now preserved as a memorial. The house still stands locked and untouched, frozen in time. Even more chilling, local residents claim that every year near New Year's, lights are seen flickering inside the abandoned home, though the power's been cut for years. The Miyazawa case remains Japan's most haunting unsolved crime. In 2020, the statute of limitations for prosecution in murder cases was abolished in Japan, partly because of this very case. Police still receive tips, and DNA testing is far more advanced now than it was in 2000. But whoever killed the Miyazawa family has never been found. Some believe he died. Others think he left Japan. And a few, including locals who still pass that silent house, say he might not have been entirely human at all. Because no ordinary killer leaves everything behind and simply vanishes, like a shadow that never existed. The Miyazawa home still stands on a quiet street in Setagaya. Curtains drawn. The park beside it has grown over. The laughter of children that once echoed there, long gone. And somewhere out there, maybe in another country, maybe living a quiet life, the man who ended 4 lives in one night is still free. This is one mystery that refuses to rest. If you found this story chilling, make sure to subscribe to True Mystery Vault, where we uncover the world's most disturbing true stories, mysteries that remain unsolved, and cases that still haunt investigators today. Because some crimes never fade.